Between the Lines would like to thank Protection Strategies Incorporated for sponsoring tonight's program, one of our country's leading providers of integrated security services, including operational security, training, testing, and evaluation. Clients of PSI include the Department of Justice, the FBI, and the Department of Energy.
Ryan Spitzer, for Circuit Court Judge, is also sponsoring tonight's program. Ryan is a prosecutor and Army medic for 6 years and a lifetime Tennessean. A graduate of Vanderbilt Law School, Ryan is dedicated to serving the citizens of Anderson County.
Judge Roger Miller is sponsoring tonight's program. Judge Miller is a lifetime resident of Anderson County. Judge Miller has adjudicated over 30,000 cases, both civil and criminal. Judge Miller is looking forward to continuing to serve Anderson County.
Welcome to Between the Lines. Thanks for joining us this Thursday night. We're with Tracy Wandell, Commissioner from District 1. We got a lot to talk about. Tracy and I have known each other for 20 years, and he's one of the most popular commissioners. We both have a background as well as Brad, but Brad played in a cornfield in high school and basketball and college and different things. But now Brad, the owner of the station here, is the head coach at Cofield High School. We got to congratulate him. Tracy, great to have you. This is low key. We just talk.
Yeah,
we just ask
like
questions and everything. Talk about. No, I'm glad to see.
We've had all these. I've seen the show with the Bear on, and I'm glad to be here.
We've had all kinds of Oak Ridge and Clinton people. We need some get out and do some rural people and talk about things that are going on. How's Claxton? What can you tell me?
Good. We've been picking up the reins there in Claxton for the Optimist Club. We've had a lot of older folks kind of retire, have health issues, so there's been a handful of us kind of help out with the club and. The baseball fields, the park, the Optimist Club, things of that nature. You know.
What is the population of Claxton? I know it's not incorporated.
Wow, that's a good question.
But it's as big as Clinton almost, isn't it?
I know, yeah. District 1 is obviously roughly 10,000 plus. I think it's up about 800 from the last census.
Okay.
So we've been growing. District 1 has. Claxton, I don't know how big it is, but
yeah, you cover South Clinton in that district.
Well,
a little bit into the city.
We lost South Clinton last redistricting. Now I go out.
I'm 10 years behind.
Hell,
I'm 11 years older. See, that works out. Go ahead. All right. I got it. Yeah.
So we got a pretty good sized district. Yes, we got 2 voting precincts there, of course. But now we go on out to Mountain View area out that way, towards North.
When you go out Clinton Highway, it goes a long way. I mean, when you get to the Weigels and Powell and that area, you're
too far. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in Knox County then.
Yeah.
But
as soon as you get to the top of the hill there,
where the auction company is, at the end of AC, Anderson County Claxton District goes all the way to the Knox County border on Clinton Highway.
Yep. Circles all the way back around to the river, back to Bull Run and things like that.
So you've been the chairman of county commission, you've been the chairman of you've pretty much done it all. How long have you served now? 15 years? 6, right? 2006?
Yes, that's right. Elected in 2006.
So 15 years as of now. Has it changed?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's gotten progressively better, but you learn more. When you first get in, you want to change the world. You know how that goes, and you think you can do all these wonderful things, but then you figure out that you got to work together and you got to team together, and otherwise it doesn't work very good.
Yeah, I had a teacher in graduate school who said you start out to change the world, then it's a village, then you want to impact your neighborhood, and at the end you're pretty satisfied with getting your neighbor a little bit better, helping your neighbor. That's how life progresses. We're getting older.
Yeah, we are. We're getting
and your daughter's finished a career at Maryville College.
She did finish her career at Maryville College. Now she's starting her career, I guess, at UT in Knoxville. She's attending night classes, getting her master's in, I guess, political policy or
public policy.
Public policy. Yeah,
that's right. She's smart. She's always been smart. Yeah, I've worked a little bit with her when she was in college, and she's just bright. And where's my boy at now?
He withdrew from Maryville, and he is now working at UPS, and he plays ball still on the side, but. Yeah. He got sick and just couldn't get back into it, and he just decided that school wasn't his thing, which me and his mother respected that.
Sure.
And, I'd love to see him play more, but at the end of the day, you got to let the kids make their own decisions in life.
He's a shooter. He can shoot.
Yeah,
he can shoot.
I was looking forward to watching him, but hey, I'm happy to get one of the games I always remember with him is the Farragut game, and he just took over, and that was something I always remember. So.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about, spend a lot of our time talking about the TVA controversy and the ash, and you have a lot of experience. It's been there from the very beginning.
Right.
I can remember when we found I want to say a 200-year-old gravesite out there. When we were doing the Hall cabins.
Oh, yeah.
And if you haven't been to the Hall cabins in Claxton, you need to go. It's
Yes.
David Hall right there. When you go over the bridge, you turn right down there, and it's got some original cabins from the early 1800s.
Yes,
It's worth a couple hours to go down
It
there.
is, it is. And they have events a couple times a year, and they publicize them pretty good. It's a great.
And they dress up.
Oh,
and,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
really
That's
like
right.
a colonial experience.
Yes,
It's
it
really
is.
good.
It
And
is.
in the front cabin, which was the overnight stay, the original road in Revolutionary times went through there. And
That's
that was,
my understanding. Yes,
up through the early 1800s, and it was a tavern.
Yep.
And also had some sleeping beds. It's if you go out, you travel a long way to see so many things, but you got some things right here in Anderson County, and particularly in Claxton, that work. Well, what's the challenges in Claxton? What are we doing now? I mean, population shifting?
Yeah, the population's shifting. We're growing. Like I said, I think the last numbers I saw, we're up by about 800 in growth, which is good, but it also causes problems, as you know, with schooling and stuff. But
Are we younger?
Younger, yes.
Wow.
Last meeting, I think Dr. Parrott reported on the kindergarten's growing, and surprisingly, he said, I think it was the fourth grade is growing. A lot of influx of out-of-staters are coming in, and we're just growing.
I was talking to Congressman Fleischman. He was sitting in a Panera or Starbucks in Chattanooga. He says that people just move from San Francisco, people move from Michigan. He says every Saturday or every once in a while he'll sit in there, and it's just amazing how many people come into Tennessee.
Right.
Do you think Knoxville's pushing out? Or do you think
I don't know. I mean, I think it might be. He's going to have to, I guess. It's
Well, their
growing
growth's
too.
like 8%. Ours wasn't. Of course, I think probably Oak Ridge didn't grow and the county grew more.
No, I've heard the Oak Ridge did grow some. Now, I don't know.
We only got
exactly.
3% countywide. So
Okay.
Somebody, I don't know where. Maybe it's consistent across.
Yeah, I think Commissioner Isabel was mentioning it, and it felt like Oak Ridge grew, District 1 grew, District 4, District 3, all of those districts grew. And
District 7, where I live, probably not. That's the most. I think we have the most senior in the middle of Oak Ridge. Up on the ridge, we have the most senior population, and it's represented well by Mr. Creasy and Miss Scott have been up there for a while, and I think Jerry's been there 40 years, 81, I think.
I think that's right.
Well, he always gets out and works hard.
He
It's
does.
got to be close, getting late 70s or whatever, he always gets out and gets his car and goes and visits people and asks them. So we've enjoyed having
Yeah,
Jerry.
he's very responsive.
Yeah, and he's very informed too.
Yes, he
especially
is.
on communications issues and
yes.
stuff.
ADA as well. He's very proactive in the ADA.
I remember that. Yeah, and he does, and he gets some things out. So the school, Claxton, in your district, Claxton Elementary School is the only elementary school.
Correct.
So everybody in all that growth, all the way from Bull Run to Clinton Highway and across, I guess.
Yes,
right?
it goes across down Raccoon Valley. It goes on down to East Wolf Valley, and it goes then, I guess, east all the way out to the interstate, basically. But of course, depending on how far you get, then it switches back and goes to Fairview. So, but pretty much that's.
Fairview's grown a lot.
Yeah,
too.
it has.
I mean, that whole migration. A lot. In the last 10 years, it seemed like everybody was moving into the Andersonville and Fairview,
Right.
all that area up in there. It was growing and getting more and more popular. So there's land up there.
Yes.
What about housing? I mean, I don't know what Claxton's situation is, but our houses in a lot of areas, typical suburban neighborhoods, have appreciated 20, 30% for years.
Yes. It's me and my wife Shannon were talking about that the other day. It's just houses that were 2 years ago, 100, 110 or whatever. Now they're 220. I mean, it's unbelievable. And there's no houses available.
No, it's a barren market. I have a lot of friends in real estate in Knoxville and here, and they just say, look, if we can get a hold of it, we can sell it in a week.
Right.
And I had a neighbor up here in Oak Ridge on the top of New York Avenue who had his house appraised for, I think he sold it for $188 3 years ago. I bought it for $188, my friend, and then within 2 years, I think they just sold it for $290 cash.
Wow.
Somebody transplanted.
Right.
They sell homes in more valuable
Wow.
areas. Tell me about Claxton. I mean, I always associate Vale Stonecipher with Claxton for decades, et cetera, et cetera. Who's there now? How many kids? Young?
You mean in just the community itself?
Just Claxton in the school?
Yeah, there's, I think, I didn't look at the numbers, but I think he said it was up about 44 kids in Claxton.
Wow.
So I don't
Is that 300 there?
I think he said 400, but I'm not sure. I didn't look at I know it's up.
That's got to be, except for Clinton Elementary maybe, that's got to be one of the largest schools in the county.
It's one of the largest elementary schools, I think is what I heard.
It has a proactive sports program.
Well, it has, and then we kind of got by the wayside. The Optimist Club was involved, and then it kind of went to some others, and the football program kind of just disbanded, I guess, because the school system was going to do something with the football field, so it's kind of sitting there.
That's a nice elementary football field.
It is.
I mean, I remember as a kid.
But unfortunately, we're not using it. But I think the basketball, I saw an email come out today from Dr. Parrott. I think he's going to allow the basketball program to continue, which I'm excited to see.
Why would the football program not be going? What was the reason for discontent?
I think there was just a lot of things. I mean, I think a lot of people in the community associated sports with the Optimist Club, which years ago was the case, but I don't know, 10 years ago the Optimist Club just gave the funds to the football program. They went out and did their own thing, and as you know, Alan, it hasn't worked. You're only as good as your volunteers, and I think the volunteers started dropping off, and then I think they only had 2 teams last year. I'm not sure they even had.
I mean, there were teams coming from all over Anderson County, everywhere, Oak Ridge, everybody played on that field. We'd have 2 or 3 games. I mean, you'd play as a father, we'd play a Pee-wee game, then a big Pee-wee game, then a midget game. I mean, they played 4. It was like the Boys Come Classic.
Correct. It
was amazing.
And I hope it gets back to that. I think it will, but the school has different plans with the football field. I think Dr. Parrott's in the middle of, from what I understand, trying to figure out if they're going to expand Claxton where it's at and take up the football field.
I got you.
But the goal is, as we get into TVA, to get a new school with TVA's help over there off of New Henderson, where they have the property set aside for the relocation of the ash, which I don't think is going to happen.
We'll talk about that because that is a major part. But TVA has been a good neighbor in a lot of ways, and we need to talk about that side of it too. Look at it balanced-wise, and you've always had a very objective perspective, and you have to represent your community.
Oh, absolutely. Everyone.
Everyone. We'll take a break, Brad, and we'll be back.
Roger Miller is a conservative and lifetime resident of Anderson County who has served as Sessions Judge since 2014. Judge Miller has adjudicated more than 30,000 cases, both civil and criminal, over the past 7 years. Roger is a graduate of Clinton High School, and he volunteers time coaching youth sports and serving as an instructor. A paramedic for 12 years, Roger worked saving lives at the Anderson County EMS, MedFlight 5, and Methodist Medical Center. In 2022, let's re-elect Roger Miller, General Sessions Judge.
Hello, I'm District Attorney General Dave Clark. My fellow DAs and I successfully fought for new elder abuse laws and procedures that have police departments and agencies using improved tools to protect our seniors. Victims of elder abuse are often unable to recognize or report abuse themselves. They need your voice. If you suspect abuse, contact local law enforcement or adult protective services. Let's work together to protect our seniors.
Hi, I'm Paige Taylor, head coach of the girls basketball team at Oak Ridge High School. We are traveling to Phoenix this year to play before Christmas and are needing to do some fundraising. And in September, we're going to have an auction here.
We're going to have it on Monday, September 20th at 7 p.m. We'll have hundreds of items to auction. Should be one of our biggest ever, so please tune in to Channel 12 or watch us streaming on Facebook Monday, September 20th, 7 p.m.
Between the Lines would like to thank Protection Strategies Incorporated for sponsoring tonight's program, one of our country's leading providers of integrated security services, including operational security, training, testing, and evaluation. Clients of PSI include the Department of Justice, the FBI, and the Department of Energy.
Ryan Spitzer has been a prosecutor in Anderson County since 2007, prosecuting more than 2,500 cases over the past decade. Ryan has been the Drug Task Force prosecutor for the past 7 years. Ryan donates time working with local nonprofits. A veteran, Ryan spent 6 years serving his country as an Army medic in the National Guard. Ryan is a family man who works hard every day to keep Anderson County families safe. Experience matters.
Welcome back to Between the Lines. We're talking to Tracy Wandell about a lot of Claxton things. We're going to talk about county stuff too and talk about TVA. Tell me about redistricting. Where are we at?
We're in the start of the redistricting. The Operations Committee is going to be the committee that does that. So Chairman Isabel of the Operations Committee we're going to be having some meetings. He set some dates last meeting, so to be proactive, we're still waiting for the state's final numbers to come in. Once we get those, then we'll start meeting and looking at how that process is.
What does the state send you?
They send us the numbers from the census.
Of the county?
Of Anderson County, that's correct, and the districts, each district.
They actually break it down into commission districts?
Yes, they do.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so we get them back. I remember the 2000 one. I don't remember the 2010, but I remember we had maps.
Yes.
And they're all over the commission room, and you're looking at your different districts and how you move 2 streets over here. I remember Harold Jernigan was in charge, and you move 3 streets over here. Claxton district will shrink or get bigger?
I don't know how we can, well, I guess it's the chicken and egg. I mean, last time we lost South Clinton and went out to Mountain View area, so it's, it's Claxton's grown, District 1's grown, so.
But you're definitely not going to move back to Clinton. You're not going to go that way.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it could be that's going to have to be up to.
Do you have anything over the bridge?
In Oak Ridge? Oh, no.
So the bridge is the cut.
The bridge is the
If I go over the bridge and I cut left, I'm going down to Jake's old house, down the neighborhoods. That's all part of your district.
Correct.
And as soon as you come out and turn right and go over that bridge, you're in District 8.
Correct.
Or whatever.
That's
you're
right.
over there in
That's
Emory
right.
Valley District, et cetera. So that is the actual dividing point. I didn't know if there were some homes on either side.
No.
I remember Oak Ridge tried to annex that about 15 years ago, and that got shot down. But they come after some revenue. They're good. Cities are good at that. Cities
Well, that's
are
all
good.
right. I understand what they're.
Yeah, it's business.
It's after the fact you find out what it was really about.
Yeah, I mean, that's true with everybody there. I mean, nothing could be worse than the old, let's go down the middle of Charles Severs Boulevard and go out 50 yards on each side and grab all the river. Boy, that was horrible. That was in 98 or 97, but I get it. I get it. I mean, I got what the move was for Clinton.
Right.
And they had the cooperation, so that created a lot of revenue for them.
Right.
That was good. Okay, tell me about TVA. We got to talk about history first. Okay. There wasn't Bull Run's been there since I was a little kid, because we always told the stories about people following in the stack when it was built and all that. I remember that. So it was built in the 50s, I guess.
Right. It's coming up on 60 years old.
Okay, that would be 1961. Okay, I remember that. I'm just decide, but I remember it. So what was the purpose of the plant? What does it do?
Bull Run, from the research I've done, was initially started to be the state-of-the-art coal-fired power plant, and it was.
What does that mean? That doesn't mean anything to me.
Well, what that means is it was the one that
produce energy.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. For those that might not know, Bull Run steam plant burn coal to produce steam to turn the turbines and produce energy. Yes.
What did it turn the turbines and it produced energy for who?
For the local community, DOE. I think, if I had to guess, a lot of it was focused on the intent of helping DOE make sure they meet their obligations as well with power and have.
But that's pretty far away.
Oh yeah, but you just send it through the transmission lines,
Okay, so they're generating this electricity. I don't know much about Bitcoin, but I know they have to have tremendous power to make 1 Bitcoin, and I've been studying. I'm going to get somebody on here to talk about it. But so they're making this, and then they transmit that energy out.
Correct.
And how much production? What would that serve? I mean, just generally. We don't know.
I want to say Bull Run was at 1,100 megawatts at one time, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think they're up to that now. They've scaled back. They put the scrubbers in later, several years ago. There's a $300 million project. What that did is cleaned up the air, the exhaust air.
Sure.
And so now what you see there is usually, most times, you'll see a white plume, and that's steam, and it works better that way, and that produces a gypsum product that they're storing now on site.
Okay, so is the mission change for TVA there? I mean, are they?
Oh yeah.
So they're not trying to produce as much power, or they're not producing any power?
They are.
Some. Yeah.
No, well, yeah, you're right. I mean, they are producing some power. Obviously, during the hot days, I noticed they're running a lot more. TVA announced, I guess, over 2 years ago, maybe now, that they're going to shut down Bull Run. And so they're
25, 26?
2023 is when they project, it's right around the corner, to shut down Bull Run steam plant.
What are they leaving behind?
Well, they tell us that they're going to put the property back to the way it was, if you will, but take the plant down all the way. That'll all take time.
Well, they're not going to put that stack on trucks.
No,
It's got to go somewhere,
yeah,
right?
Right. They'll demolish it. That's what they'll do. And my understanding is they want to put the property back and
reinstate it as much of the original as it can.
Yeah, and then obviously development is a piece of that and how it's developed. I know Mayor Frank and Mayor Gooch and Mayor Burton are all been in meetings with them. I've been in a couple of meetings talking about.
I know you had.
Yeah, about what the future holds. I think the key element that was surprising to me in one of the meetings I attended was the water inlet, which is important. I didn't realize that for businesses, but in the state of Tennessee, I guess it takes 5 to 7 years to get a water permit, and I guess the importance of that is using that water to cool things down.
So the water inlet's already there. Somebody will be able to use that.
Yeah. So if a company like Google or Facebook or whoever
makes the property more valuable.
Correct.
And what is the inlet itself? That's just the river?
Correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Clinch River coming through. It's Clinch, right?
Yep.
All right. So we have the steam plant. We have all of this. Where does the coal ash come from? What is that?
Coal ash is a byproduct from the process to produce electricity. You burn the coal, and the byproduct you get is coal ash.
Oh, that makes sense.
When I had a company back in the 80s, I guess it was, actually early 90s, coal ash is the third largest aggregate in the United States. Not a lot of people knew that, but back then, most of the
aggregate as in?
Like rock or sand or stone. So, yeah. So back then, I almost 60 or 70% of the power produced in America was by coal.
By coal. And coal ash is a byproduct anywhere you burn it.
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere you burn it, you get some coal. We burn
right.
in our house, we'll have coal ash.
That's
a pile of coal ash.
That's right. That's right.
But when you're burning at that level, there's a lot of it. So what have they done with it since 1961?
Well, coal ash has been used a lot, primarily in concrete. And a lot of people don't know this, but concrete was a huge end user of coal ash. The ASTM C618 is something that has always etched in my mind forever. I spent over 10 years in the American Coal Ash Association, and that's all you ever heard is ASTM C618, which is a ASTM standard to use fly ash in concrete. And it's basically used as an aggregate in place of others, and plus it makes the concrete stronger.
Has the regulations changed on that?
It's still in play, but obviously the lack of coal ash being produced because the coal-fired power plants are all, since the TVA Kingston incident, coal ash production's gone way down, and they're closing plants. TVA's closed many.
Has the coal ash problem in Kingston had any replicated experiences in Claxton? Has there been problems at any point in history?
Well, not any large. I mean, the problems that were there before. I moved to Claxton in 1979, but the problems that were there before the precipitators, the scrubbers went in, they used to have fallout of ash.
And a scrubber, just for us and the lay people that don't have the experience you do, it just cleans the ash?
It cleans the air.
The air, okay.
Yeah, the exhaust air. So before the scrubbers were put in, I'm going to say 50s, 60s, maybe obviously 70s, they would have some ash fall out of the stacks and get on the cars. So then they opened the TVA car wash and would wash people's cars and things of that nature. But we don't necessarily have that anymore. We had some stuff happen maybe 3 or 4, 6 months ago that I had some concern that we might have had some kind of issue going on at the plant. Found some stuff on our cars. I found some stuff. They tested it, said it wasn't, but you know,
health threat.
Yeah.
How many people work at the plant?
At one time, I was told 100 to 125.
Yeah, it was quite 100 plus.
Yeah,
20, 30
and
years
I
ago.
think 25 of them were in Anderson County.
25 residents. How many work there now?
I don't have that number. That's the last number I had.
They're not producing much
no,
anymore?
I think it's, if I had to guess, 80. If I had to guess.
That's not
Yeah, it's. They use it more as a transient business hub now, from what I understand. A lot of folks stop in there to use the facilities to do their business, catch up on work and stuff.
So actually, there is office space, not
Yes.
just plant. There's some
Absolutely.
management space.
Yes.
I've never been inside.
Yep.
I mean, I've walked the outside, but I've never been. I picked up workers who needed a ride or something, but I haven't.
TVA, from the years I've been involved with them locally through the Optimist Club or County Commission, they've done a lot for our community. Every Thanksgiving, every Christmas, we would get gifts brought to us, donated by the people at TVA, the employees. And same thing as you might remember the Partners in Education golf tournament I used to help put together. I mean, so they've been good to us, and we appreciate what they've done.
What is the controversy with coal ash at South Clinton? And I think the controversy has been, and we only have 1 minute before we go back to break, but the controversy, and we'll talk about it, is what are we going to do with the coal ash once everybody? So there is coal ash on the property. The scrubbers help the air, but there's still coal ash.
Correct.
Big residues of it.
Right.
We don't barge it out. Even though we're not using it in concrete as much, does that mean there's more piling up?
No, I don't think there's more now than there was before, but I think
when we come back, we're going to talk about how we get rid of it. I mean, how do they get rid of it? How does the industry get rid of it? And what environmental impact does that have, or does it have, on the park in South Clinton that's coming, which is a state-of-the-art park,
right,
or things in Claxton? I don't remember any major stories about health problems in Claxton, so that's a good sign.
Yep.
We'll be right back and talk with Tracy Wandell more about TVA in the Claxton community.
Ryan Spitzer has been a prosecutor in Anderson County since 2007, prosecuting more than 2,500 cases over the past decade. Ryan has been the Drug Task Force prosecutor for the past 7 years. Ryan donates time working with local nonprofits. A veteran, Ryan spent 6 years serving his country as an Army medic in the National Guard. Ryan is a family man who works hard every day to keep Anderson County families safe. Experience matters.
Hello, I'm District Attorney General Dave Clark. My fellow DAs and I successfully fought for new elder abuse laws and procedures that have police departments and agencies using improved tools to protect our seniors. Victims of elder abuse are often unable to recognize or report abuse themselves. They need your voice. If you suspect abuse, contact local law enforcement or adult protective services. Let's work together to protect our seniors.
Hi, I'm Paige Taylor, head coach of the girls basketball team at Oak Ridge High School. We are traveling to Phoenix this year to play before Christmas and are needing to do some fundraising. And in September, we're going to have an auction here.
We're going to have it on Monday, September 20th at 7 p.m. We'll have hundreds of items to auction. Should be one of our biggest ever, so please tune in to Channel 12 or watch us streaming on Facebook Monday, September 20th, 7 p.m.
Roger Miller is a conservative and lifetime resident of Anderson County who has served as Sessions Judge since 2014. Judge Miller has adjudicated more than 30,000 cases, both civil and criminal, over the past 7 years. Roger is a graduate of Clinton High School, and he volunteers time coaching youth sports and serving as an instructor. A paramedic for 12 years, Roger worked saving lives at the Anderson County EMS, MedFlight 5, and Methodist Medical Center. In 2022, let's re-elect Roger Miller, General Sessions Judge.
Between the Lines would like to thank Protection Strategies Incorporated for sponsoring tonight's program, one of our country's leading providers of integrated security services, including operational security, training, testing, and evaluation. Clients of PSI include the Department of Justice, the FBI, and the Department of Energy.
Welcome back to Between the Lines. We would like to thank our sponsors, Protection Strategies, Judge Roger Miller, Ryan Spitzer for Circuit Court Judge, Jeff Cole, Tim Shelton, and others. Thank you so much, and Climax Roofing. We appreciate your support of the show. So we have all this fly ash, and we were talking during the break. There's a pile of it. There's always a pile of it,
right,
down by the river, right?
Yeah, that's stored in place now. It was once upon a time a wet ash system, and now when they went to the scrubber, it's a dry ash stack. So what they've done is they've kind of capped in place at the moment of the ash along the river. And then the other piles of ash you see going down Edgemore, that's the stacked, and it's lined, and it's got water well or tested wells, and there are also test wells now as well along the river too, to make sure there's no adverse effect to the water.
Do you think that Claxton has been under the microscope more because of what happened in Kingston? I mean, has ash has become more controversial?
Oh, absolutely. You know,
tell us what happened in Kingston, just generally.
Well, I think what happened in Kingston, they were displacing the ash. So what happened years ago? You produced the coal ash, and they'd sluice it out to sediment ponds, and then they would water the pond, and then they'd have a contractor dig it up and stack it. I think what happened, in my opinion, they stacked too much, and it was too wet. And then you had your freeze-thaw issues probably, and that's kind of what happened out in Kingston, and it just ruptured. It just didn't have the support it needed.
So then the ash goes everywhere?
Oh, yeah. Obviously went to the Emory River and caused all kinds of issues, yes. Fortunately, at Bull Run, we're not to that level of production. Kingston is a very, very large coal-fired power plant.
Still today?
Oh, yeah. So they're dry now as well, dry ash storage and gypsum, and they're stacking it and storing it in storage areas, I guess, with liners and all that kind of good stuff. But, that's kind of where it's at.
What is gypsum?
Gypsum is a new name, if you will, for fly ash. Okay. They put... Is
there a difference between coal ash and fly ash?
No. There's three parts of fly ash. You have a coal ash, okay? So you'll see it in the market called CCPs, coal combustion products. You'll see it called CCBs, coal combustion byproducts. But
sure.
Coal ash has three components, the major one being fly ash. It makes up about 70% of the ash. Then you have bottom ash, and then you'll have a little bit of cenospheres, floating ash I used to deal with. But now with the gypsum process, it's just all... It's either calcium sulfate or sulfide. I get it mixed up, but it's a gypsum.
So the process helped?
Yeah, it did help.
Did it help from an economic production viewpoint and a profit, or did it help reduce risk in that as well?
I think it helped reduce risk and environmental concerns.
So what I get from that, being a businessman and not a coal ash guy, and what I get from that is wet ash bad, dry ash good.
I would agree with that.
And it's wet when it comes out of the plant.
Right.
Now, and then you have to figure out a way to dry it.
Correct. Okay. But now, what I'm hearing and seeing is there's a lot of new companies. Well, they've been around a while, but they're digging up the coal ash piles, the wet ash that's been dewatered, and they're reburning it to get. There's usually a lot of carbon still left in that ash.
Sure.
And they'll reburn it and then clean the ash, if you will, while they burn it, and then they're putting it back in concrete. That's what prevents it from being used in concrete, is if it has too much carbon content.
And carbon's valuable in some settings?
Yeah, I mean, you can obviously burn it and get a little more power out of it, if you will, and then once you've cleaned it, it can go into the concrete for ready mix.
Tell me about TVA's communication with the Clarksville community. I get bringing Christmas presents out and working with the youth and everything, but do you have a group of citizens in Claxton that communicate with a group from TVA there that keeps you informed on everything that's going on? Has that been a satisfactory process?
I think it's gotten better, but I mean, it's just kind of like anything else. I've always told my kids over the years, effort equals results. So,
sure.
I think for us, the community's been Spud Chandler, with the Optimist Club. He's always had
What an amazing man.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's always had his pulse on what's going on at TVA. Of course, I get involved.
Did Spud work out there?
No, he worked at a DOE.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
too.
Y12.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He has that engineering.
Right.
He has that. He carries himself like somebody's in charge.
Right.
Yeah, he was great.
I guess him and Creasy used to change in the same changing room out at the plant. So I've heard him talk about that before. Yeah.
Well, and they, Spud did such a good job, and you too, in building that playground back in, when was it we worked on that, 2002, 2003? A lot of volunteers.
I think so. It might have even been the 90s. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was later than that. It was after 98, because we provided labor and stuff. That was 2001 or 2002. And that's a beautiful playground.
It is. We're proud of it, and it's getting a little age on it. So
it is. God, we've lived a long time.
Yes, we have.
But is there fly ash in there?
my understanding is, according to TVA, they did use some bottom ash in filling of the area, but at that time it was meeting the ASTM state standards, and you could use it as a structural fill. You hear a lot about the project in South Clinton. Same issue there. Back then, you're allowed to use coal ash as a structural fill as long as you placed it in the acceptable methods, which were compacting and put in test wells, cap it off with clay, all that kind of good stuff.
Regulations have become, as we become smarter and more aware.
Correct.
The 50s were different than the 90s.
Right, right. So now you can't do that, of course, and so you got to take a different approach, and you can't go use coal ash as a structural fill, from my understanding.
Is fly ash dangerous? I mean, what's the health risk in it?
I mean,
What's
obviously,
the environmental risk?
obviously, there's levels of different metals in it, and I can't cover them all. I mean, anyone could do a Google search and see all the metals. There's arsenic, there's all kinds of different things, but to what level, I can't really say. You'll hear some say that if you're around it too much, it could kill you, and I suppose that's correct. I know that there's been workers out of Kingston that have died from working out there, but a little bit different situation when you're working in 100% concentrated levels of ash, and perhaps without respiratory mask and things.
Over the years.
And that could be, obviously it's been an issue.
The black lung type thing in coal mines and stuff.
Right, but just for the average person, I mean, you could test anywhere in Claxton, I would suspect, a 10-mile radius, and you'll find fly ash in the yard. I mean, it's, yeah. But to my knowledge, based on what I've heard from the state and the federal level coal ash, and even in that report, that kind of what stirred all this up is Dr. Vingosh, I guess was the researcher's name that did the study from Duke University. In his own words, that the levels of ash aren't exceeding any standards or health issues.
That's good news.
I mean, we're getting it retested. That's what we did at the last meeting at County Commission. Mayor Frank thought it would be good to have TDEC to take a second look at it because, as you mentioned earlier, you do have to represent all people. So even if I only have 2 people that want me to shut the park down, I got to respond to them and make sure we do what's right. Yeah,
you got to have a reason. You got to look at it in that sense. Tell me about the groups in Claxton. Like when you talk about TVA in response, and the Optimist Club was the center hub of Claxton. Are there new groups, new kids, new things happening?
Well, we're trying to build the club back, but we do have the square dancers that come use the club, and they've been pretty active getting back. COVID obviously put a hamper on everything.
Everything, yeah.
We have the international dancers that come from Oak Ridge, and we're happy to have them. They meet on Wednesdays. Square dancers meet on Mondays, and so we're starting to build that back up. We need to reestablish the club, and then what I'd like to do.
Where is the club?
We meet right there at the old. It looks like the old church, which it was. It was the old Edgemore Baptist Church, and TVA acquired it when they built a new church off of.
Is that where we have the picnics and stuff? The little.
Correct.
Like almost like where they vote.
Right next to the place.
Yeah,
exactly. It's the voting precinct now. Yes.
Nice little building.
Yeah, it is. We got some stuff we got to do on the ADA side.
It looks like a church, though.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It looks like a little
so we
community
rented out to the community for birthday parties, family reunions.
Yeah, that's what I think. I was there for a wedding reception or something. It was nice because you could put a lot of parking.
Yep.
It was good. Mm-hmm. So if I look at the plant where the plant sits, I can remember we had an issue with a graveyard that was attached to it. It was, I started on that earlier on the David Hall. I want to say it was a slave cemetery from the early. You remember that?
Yeah,
and we went back in there and found.
They moved that, and I want to say
15 years ago.
Yeah, they moved that. They moved those graves to the Black Cemetery. A lot of people hear that and they think, well, it's the Black Cemetery. It's actually the family name Black Cemetery.
I got you.
There are some slave graves in there as well that were moved, and TVA moved all of those graves, and they did a good job. They've got it all documented, and they did a good job. Leo York's been very up to speed on that.
So I got that covered. I think there was, I walked through it when it was controversial. I want to say there was, maybe 30 to 40.
That's right.
Back there, roughly that. And they were mostly attached. I mean, they lived in that area.
Yeah, I went out there with Leo York, Catherine Denenberg. I think Chuck Fritz was with us, a couple others. I forget everyone, but we took a little tour of the cemetery, and saw some information about when they did relocate those graves.
Interesting. As the Claxton, we'll talk real quick on the community of, I don't want to say political. I mean, even though it's, obviously I've been involved through years, it still sounds like a negative connotation. I mean social, political.
Right.
Our leadership and political leadership, I've always felt like Claxton never got really the respect it deserved from the county seat or others because it's such a large community.
Right.
And
well, you know, I guess I felt that way before, but, you know.
And I'm out of the loop for 10 years.
No. It's, you know, we're a pretty tight-knit community. I think with the evolution of social media, I think everyone is in communications through that forum.
And we're talking about 6,000 people here.
Right.
We're not talking about 2,200. You know, it's really Claxton's much bigger than Oliver Springs, Norris. Doesn't have as much long-term history because those are incorporated. They have a different kind of way to do it. Why has Claxton never become incorporated? Have they ever have a vote?
No, we used to talk about that as we used to kid about Johnny Freeman, the mayor, the mayor. The real mayor of Claxton.
Store, that's right.
Yeah. With her passing, of course, I guess some say Shannon's the mayor. I don't know, but she.
I'm not going to argue with.
I mean,
I'm not going to argue with.
So
between your wife and my wife,
that's a lethal
we're leaving that alone.
We can't. We got to make sure they don't ever get on a committee.
No,
together.
never on a committee. I don't even like them. You know, when I say who you talking to and it's Shannon, I'm out. That's good. I'm gone. So whatever y'all decide is fine with me. But they got. There's a lot of close knit community there. It seems like it's different pockets.
It is. I
think of Claxton's Edgemore Road.
Yeah,
that's all I think.
Well, that's true.
I turn right and I'm in Knoxville.
Yeah, well, I call it downtown Claxton. You got your bread box, which was the anchor hub for brew and the family that owned it before, and of course the hardware, and it went away. But we got Max Pharmacy now, and we got the dollar store. So I feel like the churches play a big role in our community, and like they do everywhere. But I know Edgemore does a lot. I know Riverview does a lot. I know Zion does a lot, and I'm leaving out several others. But it very close-knit community, and they step up to help each other, and that's what I like to see.
Let's take one more break. Let's finish up the last 12 minutes. Thank you.
Miller is a conservative and lifetime resident of Anderson County who has served as Sessions Judge since 2014. Judge Miller has adjudicated more than 30,000 cases, both civil and criminal, over the past 7 years. Roger is a graduate of Clinton High School, and he volunteers time coaching youth sports and serving as an instructor. A paramedic for 12 years, Roger worked saving lives at the Anderson County EMS, MedFlight 5, and Methodist Medical Center. In 2022, let's re-elect Roger Miller, General Sessions Judge.
Hello, I'm District Attorney General Dave Clark. My fellow DAs and I successfully fought for new elder abuse laws and procedures that have police departments and agencies using improved tools to protect our seniors. Victims of elder abuse are often unable to recognize or report abuse themselves. They need your voice. If you suspect abuse, contact local law enforcement or adult protective services. Let's work together to protect our seniors.
Hi, I'm Paige Taylor, head coach of the girls basketball team at Oak Ridge High School. We are traveling to Phoenix this year to play before Christmas and are needing to do some fundraising. And in September, we're going to have an auction here.
We're going to have it on Monday, September 20th at 7 p.m. We'll have hundreds of items to auction. Should be one of our biggest ever, so please tune in to Channel 12 or watch us streaming on Facebook Monday, September 20th, 7 p.m.
Between the Lines would like to thank Protection Strategies Incorporated for sponsoring tonight's program, one of our country's leading providers of integrated security services, including operational security, training, testing, and evaluation. Clients of PSI include the Department of Justice, the FBI, and the Department of Energy.
Ryan Spitzer has been a prosecutor in Anderson County since 2007, prosecuting more than 2,500 cases over the past decade. Ryan has been the Drug Task Force prosecutor for the past 7 years. Ryan donates time working with local nonprofits. A veteran, Ryan spent 6 years serving his country as an Army medic in the National Guard. Ryan is a family man who works hard every day to keep Anderson County families safe. Experience matters.
We're back for the final segment of Between the Lines, and we're going to change directions in Claxton and talk about the Clinton Dragons for a little bit, and some other things. Tracy was a big-time basketball player in the early 80s at Clinton. I happened to play against Clinton 10 years earlier than that as an Oak Ridge basketball player. But last week, big win for Coach Keith and the Dragons. Go over to William Blunt. This kid must be really good.
He is.
Have you seen him play?
Oh yeah, I've seen him play. Yeah, he's a special talent.
He kind of reminds me of just watching him on film, and I saw him at Oak Ridge last year. You just run out of big athletes, and he can survive for a while. But I think they're getting better. But he was quick, and he reminds me a little bit of T. Martin's son that played at Catholic.
Yes.
The movement, the quickness, and everything. And went to the University of Miami. But he, I think it's hopeful. He's a tough customer. Hopefully, we'll get him on the show here in a few weeks. But I hear good things about him.
I hope you can. He is an amazing man. He's doing it the right way. He's getting the kids to believe into the system. Obviously, with his military background, he instills discipline, which I like. Not overbearing, but it's kind of been intriguing for me to watch the relationship between him and his son. Obviously, I don't get into that. I just kind of watch from afar. But he does a good job. He's not one of them daddy coaches that going to play my kid because you're my son. In fact, what I see is a much harder version of a coach coming down on a player, and he doesn't see him as his son out on the field. And
well, you can get away with more with your own kids.
True.
You have to push your kids.
And I think it's worked. I think, it's kind of. My wife showed me a video someone took after the game where he got real, he's sitting there talking to the team after the win, and then he gets excited and, yells, "The Dragons are back, baby." And it was at that moment that I thought, well, I bet his son has never seen him do that since he's been at Clinton.
Yeah.
And that probably lifted his son's spirits, and I'm excited about it. I mean, you're a huge Oak Ridge fan, and I didn't want to see Oak Ridge lose. I was hoping they would pull it out, and this is nothing. I mean, they'll be back. I mean, as you know, you can lose a game in football, and it's okay. You can still go on down the road, and it's a tough lesson, but I'm excited about Oak Ridge and Clinton and Anderson.
Having worked over there for a decade, I'm kind of a Dragon fan too. I mean, I played at Oak Ridge obviously, but they've struggled, and I watched the Lopez era, and I watched some other people, and they've had some talent there.
They have,
and it's just the number of bodies. And I said it when I was talking to E.T. Stadium a few weeks ago. I said the first thing Coach Keith's got to do is stop the export of athletes to Anderson County.
Well, true, but. A lot of people, and I was one of them, I thought, well, maybe I can get the school system to put in some kind of rule to where we can stop that. But at the end of the day, we all know that's never going to stop. So what you do is what Coach Keith is doing at Clinton is you make it attractive where you want to come play.
That's right.
And I think that's what's happening now. There's some kids that have transferred in that came specifically for Coach in playing at Clinton Dragon. And I think we're starting to see the dividends pay off. And when there's a level of excitement you see on a team, that's what makes a difference.
With the violence in the city of Knoxville and all the problems, not the county, but the city part's having, we're seeing athletes move out of those areas.
Yes.
I think some are coming to Oak Ridge, some to Clinton, some to other areas. I think it's just they want to live outside the city.
Correct.
And I don't blame them, but I think that's going to help some of these schools. I think getting the turf in, in the turf on its own, it's just symbolic. It's symbolic that you're taking your stuff serious and the programs are serious. And to get somebody of his quality in there. If everybody will invest in him, you got to raise money, you got to work for the program. You don't get a guy like that. And when we're talking about, Tracy's a veteran. This gentleman was a ranger, I believe, and trained rangers or something. I'm going all on hearsay, but not a guy to mess with, and he's very serious about his work and his job, and I'm sure he's a great teacher too.
He talked to my son after he graduated, and we were just passing through. He was out there planting flowers by himself on a Saturday, and me and my son just happened to stop to eat some lunch, and we were in my truck, and he came over and talked to us, and the things he said to my son, I just never will forget, because you can tell he cares. It's not just a bunch of lip service, and I appreciate that.
Tell me about when you played. Now, this is you're a 1984 graduate.
Yes.
I was here in 82 and 3, but then I went to Pittsburgh and worked up there for 11, 12 years. So you played for Ken, You played for Daddy Locker.
Daddy,
right?
yeah,
Daddy. It's Ken, right?
No, Don.
Don. Ken's okay. My bad.
That's
Don.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I can remember when I played.
I thought you knew a new name for him that I didn't know.
Well, when I played at Oak Ridge, he used to yell at me. You know, I mean, it was his second year, and he'd say, "Slow down! Don't shoot so much." I mean, he would yell at me going down the court. I was on the other team. You can get away with that in those days, you know. And I'd say, "Leave me alone." He would laugh at me. And actually, when I played for Middle A.W. Davis at UT, did the same thing in our freshman game. He'd yell at me, "Not bad, not bad." They would yell at me going up and down the field, going down the court. But what a good guy.
Oh man, I say it, and I'll say it to the day I take my last breath. He changed my life. If he hadn't given me a chance, I mean, I couldn't bounce a basketball. I couldn't play basketball, but I think he knew I had the desire and I wanted it, and he gave me a chance, and got a little better. I wasn't the best
power forward type.
Yeah, I was power forward. I played the middle, just keep people out. All I did was rebound and kick it out to the shooters.
But you got to participate.
Oh yeah, no, I loved it. Don't get me wrong. I shouldn't have been shooting. I knew better.
Did you play any other sports at Clinton?
No, I played baseball in Virginia, but I never got into it when I moved to Tennessee.
Well, you had the reputation of being a tough guy, so you probably just basketball.
Oh, I loved it. It was fun.
Kind of the fun.
Played like you, just elbow and get rough house in the middle.
I did my rebounding and did my dual duty, but I was more comfortable way out there.
Yeah, you could shoot.
Yeah, we had some. The teams that Clinton I played against were the best in Clinton history, probably. Tyrone Fritz, Massey Ellis, Kimmy Weaver, Jimmy Hodge, and Jerry Rick went to Clinton. All five went to college play sports. All five of us, me and Otis and everybody went to college play sports. So we had some shootouts. They won both regular season games by a few points, and then we won the district, the one that mattered, right?
Wow, yeah, that's true. That's true.
And it was funny. And I always tell the story about Kimmy Weaver, great athlete, right? And Kimmy was guarding me. He was a defensive player, right? And the first shot I took in the district tournament, Kimmy knocked that thing all the way back to the other basket. And they came in and were laughing. I said, "Don't worry about it." And we came back out, and I head faked the rest of the night. Kimmy kept going that way. You let him block the first one. That was always fun. But Jimmy Hodge was a great player. He's back in the area somewhere, but I haven't seen Jimmy work in San Antonio for years. But Clinton sports are, baseball, they've always been
Baseball's coming on. Of course, basketball's going to be tough this year. Coach's son, Chris, he's got a good squad ahead of him. I think they're going to do some special
They got a
things.
shot. They got a shot to beat Oak Ridge this year.
They do. I mean, I think they got a good shot to do some things. It's, again, whether the team bonds together, as you said earlier, buy in. You got to buy in no matter what it is, sports, community, whatever it is, you got to buy in.
I thought Clinton and Anderson County breaking their game off was probably a positive idea during the rebuild.
I thought it was. I mean, I know Coach took a lot of heat on it, but he mentioned it to me, and not that he asked me. He just was talking.
No reason to feed the narrative.
No, and he just, and his position was, we're just not at the level of Anderson County, and it doesn't really benefit us to continue playing until we get better, and it made sense to me.
Yeah, and I think it's programmatic as well as it is.
People make fun of me, I guess. I mean, I don't like the Battle of the Bridge. I mean, I know it's just a name, but I'd rather have the Sportsman's Trophy of the Bridge or something. I mean,
that's a big.
We're all the same community, so why?
That's because you're an Anderson County government guy. See.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, people living on the other side of the high school and people living downtown Clinton don't think of things.
Well, my son's dating a little girl from Anderson County, and she was there the other night, and we was watching the Anderson County game, and I was disappointed Anderson County lost, and she looked at me with a surprise. You mean you were pulling for Anderson County? I said, well, yeah, I pull for all the schools in Anderson County. Yeah. Oak Ridge, Anderson County, and of course Clinton.
That's it. Oak Ridge has been, we've been blessed with two good basketball coaches.
Yeah, oh yes, no question.
I mean, Paige is fantastic, and she
is very
she's
good.
One of the best in-game coaches. I've watched a lot of basketball over the years. You have too, but I mean, I've been to NCAA tournaments, Big Ten. I mean, I've been everywhere, and she makes adjustments very well, and
she does.
Very prepared, et cetera, et cetera. And she has her respect, but she's tough too. Yeah. She's like Coach
Key. You have
Key.
to be, yeah.
Well, with her, you better be ready to play. Pruden was that way.
Yes, she was.
Jill was tough.
Yes, she was.
I mean, she didn't. I know some great players that never played a day because they just didn't want to put up with it.
You gotta be willing to buy in.
It's different. Yeah, it's different.
I'm excited. I think the girls Clinton will do pretty good this year, I think.
Yeah, your daughter was a star. I mean, we got good players over there?
Yeah. Mayor Burton's daughter's
she can shoot.
She's a good player.
I talked to Scott
and I think they'll be pretty good this year. And I don't know all the players. You kind of.
But all three high schools are relatively the same size, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, all of them should be fairly competitive. I think Oak Ridge went up a little bit in population, maybe 100 more. But AC is a different classification, right?
Correct. That's my understanding. Yeah.
They're smaller.
Yep.
They're in 4A. Clinton and Oak Ridge are in 5A?
Yep. I think that's correct.
4A's always been tough.
It is.
And the district.
I think it's moved around this year, though, Alan.
Every time they drop 8
I'm not sure which district.
I can't keep up with it.
I
know Oak Ridge is 5A.
Right.
And I know Clinton's in our district, so those two I know about. So, I mean, I presume that Anderson's 4, but I don't know. And Powell, we're getting a confirmation on that from the
head coach.
From the head coach, Coach Brad. Coach Brad, who knows what single A is, and he's got a challenge over there at Coalfield. But you know what? It reminds me of Lake City. Coalfield. Lake City loves sports.
Yes, they do.
And Coalfield loves sports.
Yes,
they take it serious.
Do.
What a tragedy last year. They go up to South Pittsburgh. I talked to the head coach on Monday, give him some money to help the team travel. Mm-hmm. They go to South Pittsburgh. They come back. Both coaches die within a month.
That was awful.
Tragic.
It was awful.
Tragic.
I've enjoyed going to Coalfield and watching games, basketball, and it's the fans are into it. It brings the community together. It's kind of in the old school days, if you'll call it. It's the heartbeat for the community to kind of come out and support each other.
I remember. And I'm Catholic, and I live in Oak Ridge, and I was at a Coalfield game because all my nieces and nephews, everybody goes to Coalfield because Sabres family is big, and me and my sister, we don't have any cousins, nothing. Both our parents were only children, so we don't have a lot of places. So I'm going to Coalfield and supporting them. But everybody knows me, and they know I go to St. Mary, all that kind of stuff. So we're sitting around, about 20 of us. Well, they play Catholic. This is when all the UT coaches' sons played for Catholic, right? I mean, all of them. But anyway, Coalfield comes on the field, and their woman, Catholic comes on. It's like 60 guys like West Point.
Yeah.
And they all turn, boom, boom. I mean, it's just amazing. Right. And everybody in the stands turns around and looks up at me. I'm from Oak Ridge. Oak Ridge. But they did break the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator's leg that time. Remember, he got snapped on the other side of the coin, so that was good.
Oh, wow.
You coached a little bit, didn't you, over the year?
A little basketball I have, just here and there, Optimus Club stuff.
Yeah, with your daughter and your son.
My son, I did a little bit of travel ball with some of them boys. It was fun.
And your daughter, they won the conference in volleyball the last 2 years.
Yeah, they won the
You
conference.
traveled everywhere.
Yeah, we tried to make them all. I was proud.
Shannon would send us videos.
Oh, yeah. They won the conference outright and went undefeated in volleyball, which was really tough to do. Yes.
And what is that conference?
That is USA South. Mm-hmm. So she won the team, and she'll be the first one to tell you that. Team won USA South, and then she won basketball last year. They won the
conference in basketball. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Now they just did divisions last year. They didn't.
Because of COVID.
Right. So
Let's talk about COVID real quick.
Yeah.
Do you think the county's handling it well?
I think so. I mean,
too.
I haven't heard a lot lately, but I think they are. I think we need to.
Mayor Franken, I've praised her on this show before. I had the ambulance guy, Nathan Sweet on here, and we talked about COVID about 4 or 5 weeks ago. And I could look at her post every day, Mayor Frank's post, and I knew what was going on.
Right.
I didn't get that from a lot of places, and it was very helpful. And Scott Burton does a good job in Clinton. He keeps people updated. He'll text me every once in a while when I'm watching the numbers, and it's starting to creep back up. But we're getting rid of cases almost as fast as we're going up. The net's going up 15 or 20. Right. New case, you get 80, but 50 go off the rolls.
My understanding is here locally, maybe at the hospital, I'm not privy to everything, but I think there's a very low percentage that have the shot that have COVID, but if those that do have it don't have any adverse effects, but the majority, 80-90%, don't have the shots. That's the ones that are having real tough issues.
That's what I hear, and I look at the numbers nationally, and I think everybody should take the shot if they want to, and don't if you don't want to.
Yeah, correct.
But I think at the same time, I think the numbers of serious illnesses of non-vaccinated people is serious. You're right. So you get it no matter what.
Right.
But I think a lot of people are frustrated. They took their vaccine, they took their medicine. I don't think there's any chance we shut down ever again. It destroyed our economy.
I hope not. We can't keep funding everything. I mean, that's just not the way it works. You gotta earn it along the way.
What do you think? Working with the county, is the state been good to work with? I mean, are they still working pretty good?
Yeah,
I know the schools battle with it.
I'm fortunate. I'm on the board for the state of Tennessee County Commissioners Association. I represent.
For years, you've been.
So
here.
I get I'm happy with things going.
Okay. So Anderson County, you got 45 seconds. Tell me what's exciting. Where are we going? What's going on? Anything? New businesses?
The growth. I don't know a lot about new businesses coming in, but I think we're growing, and obviously a lot of development out there out at the Anderson County Clinton exit. But
ever since we got internet taxes, everybody seems to get along now. There's so much money coming in from taxation on the internet. Well, I'll give them 10,000, give them 20. In the old days, we'd fight over 800.
Well, we're going to get back to the nonprofit group, and we're going to get that back.
That was good. That helped a lot of people. I really appreciate you coming on. I hadn't seen you in a while.
Thank you, buddy.
You starting to travel again?
Tomorrow morning.
Wow.
Yep.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us. Between the Lines. We'll be back next Thursday night with another show.